Let's jump aboard the Antarctic Dream.
Here we are with Captain Ep8 Maria. I think I may have got that wrong, Captain, but you are the captain of the Antarctic Dream. How big is the vessel?
It's 82 meters in length.
Ancho 11 metros, 9
Beam 11.9 meters.
y 4,5 metros de calado.
And draft is 4.5 meters.
How many passengers are on board this ship?
80 pasajeros.
80 passengers at maximum capacity.
Máximo capacity.
Now this ship is of course ex-Chilean Navy. It would have spent a lot of time in the shipyard to transfer to become a passenger ship.
Aproximadamente 2 años de trabajo para poder dejar la nave en las condiciones que se encuentra hoy.
Approximately 2 years of work in dry dock in order to have a ship like you see it today.
Very challenging operating ships in these types of waters. Is it the challenge of being in Antarctica that draws you here?
Yeah, the challenge and the Antarctic itself, because all the history that's behind it.
We're standing out here in the mid-deck and we're about to go and jump into one of these life rafts and have a look at what a life raft on a ship is all about. These are not just open life rafts that you'll see on most ships. These are fully enclosed to make sure that people are going to survive down here if they end up in the water.
But you use it only to wait for help, not for navigation at all. You're not going to get very far with a boat like this because you don't have enough fuel, to get 100 or 80 miles. So the boats are mostly to have people in a protected area and to move away from the area of the accident. And there, you're supposed to wait for help. At some point, help should come, but these boats are not made to navigate long distances. Passengers, we're going to have a harness, something like that, with a hook on the back. So in bad weather, you hook the crane, and move the passenger to the car.
We just had a chat to the captain of the Antarctic Dream. The expedition leader Julio, who's had 28 years experience down here in Antarctic waters, has invited us on board this Chilean ship, Panamanian flag. Let's get in and check out how the other people are doing it. We are with Julio Brella. I think I've pronounced that wrong, but of course with all Spanish I'm not very good at it. Now you have been an expedition leader in Antarctica for 28 years. What is it about this place that draws you back year after year?
Well, as a leader I have been maybe 13, 14 years, but altogether 28 years since I started. Antarctica is the best world example of nature balance, how things work close to perfection when the man does not have his hands in the middle.
We've in fact discussed this on board our vessel, that once we get down here, having a look at the pristine conditions down here, we certainly believe that anybody who steps foot on the Antarctic continent or even witnesses the sheer enormity and beauty of it has surely got to change their outlook towards the way that they do things within their own community.
Absolutely. It is very easy to learn how to enjoy nature, enjoy wildlife with respect. It is wonderful to see that you can enjoy them and they enjoy you, and not crossing any frontier, not crossing any barrier. It is wonderful to see that year after year, despite the number of people coming in here that 25, 30 years ago was maybe 600 passengers per year, now we are getting close to 30,000. Tourist industry has showed to the whole world that it's possible to bring people in big groups without interfering with nature.
In 28 years, what are the biggest changes you've seen down here? Have you noticed anything environmental, or what sort of changes have you noticed in that time?
Well, I would put it in two very important points. First of all, the number of passengers, number of companies coming, big change, very big change. The increasing has been steady, I would say, between 5 and 8% maybe per year. Wildlife-wise, a very positive change, especially in numbers of whales and some seal species, subantarctic seals. Numbers have been increasing throughout the year, so I would consider that positive. And the number of people certainly is also positive for the industry, positive for ourselves, because again, they are new Antarctic ambassadors.
What are the differences that you see between the North and the South Poles?
Well, I would say that the main difference between the two areas is regarding attractions such as cultures. Antarctic has never had cultures, never. We never had natives in Antarctic, as they have been up in the Arctic. Different cultures, call it the North, Thule, nowadays descendants of them, the Inuit. There is a very, very rich history of cultures up there. Wildlife-wise, they're different one each other, but at the end of the day, both are wonderful. They're just like two different ladies. I think it's not fair to compare one each other. Both areas are great. I love them both. With different faces, I love them both.
What about the impact? There's a whole thing about global warming these days, and that the Arctic Ocean is in fact melting. We haven't sort of seen that down in Antarctica quite as dramatically as been reported from the Arctic areas of the world. What you were discussing off camera earlier, regarding the ice flows. Could you explain a little bit about that, please, up there in the Arctic regions?
Yeah, just with the bare eye, it's a bit difficult to understand when you go up there, and some years like this last season it was very bad for ice. And you said, well, what about global warming? I mean, we can't move for almost 2 or 3 weeks and more than a couple of months because the ice conditions were very, very hard. But the ice has the different classifications, and what happened, the multi-year ice will stay for longer, for years, and that is what actually is creating a lot of concern regarding experts, because years ago about 70% of the Arctic ice was composed by multi-year ice, and the rest was a third year or second year or a young ice, which are very subject to melting. Nowadays, about only 15 to 18% of the ice which is in the Arctic area is composed of multi-year ice, meaning that the rest of it is a very young ice, which it will melt very, very fast. So there is a problem involved in that. Yeah. Down here in Antarctic, personally, since we don't have very much drifting ice in the area of the western side of the peninsula, we don't see very much changes. It does vary from season to season. However, navigation conditions are very different, and personally, I don't see any difference. Certainly, it is in some places. There are areas where an island like James Ross Island was linked to the peninsula until 6-7 years ago, when the whole ice field just collapsed.
Oh, look, we certainly appreciate you inviting us on board here today, and we just wish we had a lot more time to explore, and again, thank you very much for having us on board.
Cuando nos vean en el camino, bienvenidos van a ser siempre.
You are welcome anytime you see us on the road. You are welcome to come on board.
Thank you very much again.
Stick around, because after the break we're going to chat to a colonel who's a captain and a piano playing Canadian.